Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are wading into something that feels a little bit like science fiction, but honestly, if you look at your phone, check your spam folder, or just, doom scroll for 5 minutes, you realize it is happening right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's happening in the infrastructure of the internet and potentially in the neural pathways of your own brain. We are talking about digital sludge.
It creates a very visceral mental image, doesn't it? Just this slow, thick, suffocating accumulation of waste.
It really does. But we aren't just talking about spam emails or those weird, incoherent bot comments you see on Instagram. We're looking at a future where AI-generated noise, deepfakes, and shortcuts threaten to erase what our main source calls ground truth.
Basically, the ability to look at something and know definitively that it's real.
Exactly. But, and here's where it gets really interesting, we have a guide, a counterforce.
Right. We are exploring the work of a figure known in the source material as the architect, also known as Af, or Africa Allah.
And I think it's important we say this up front.
Yeah. Af isn't just a commentator or some tech pundit. She is presented in these materials as a builder, a visionary engineer who is looking at the digital landscape and saying, this foundation is cracking, we need to build something else.
She's not just complaining about the rain, she's building an ark. And her solution is something she calls haptic sovereignty.
Now that sounds incredibly academic, maybe a little abstract.
It does, but it basically boils down to a tension between the infinite frictionless speed of AI and, well, the physical, slow, undeniable reality of the human handwriting on paper.
It's the clash between the algorithm and the analog. And the stakes are surprisingly high. We aren't just talking about productivity hacks or digital detox tips here.
No, we're talking about ownership. As Ath puts it, most of us are living in digital rented apartments.
That phrase is so perfect.
I want to stick a pin in that, because that metaphor of the rented apartment is the foundation for everything else we're going to discuss. We're going to unpack our architect's protocol, look at the terrifying concept of the black opticon, which we will get to later, and explain why a simple pen might be the most advanced security tool you can own in 2026.
So let's start with that rented apartment.
Let's do it.
So the core idea here, which Af outlines in her manifesto, is that we spend years, decades, sometimes building brands, reputations, and followings on platforms like Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, or X.
We pour our labor into them, we build entire communities.
But we don't own the land, we are tenants.
And as any tenant knows, the landlord can change the locks.
Or raise the rent. Or just decide they don't like the way you decorated the place. We have source material here that highlights this exact shift. You have massive influencers and artists, people you would assume are too big to fail.
Like who?
We're talking about people like Ed Sheeran or the fitness entrepreneur Grace Beverly. They're realizing that social media is a trap.
Wait, Ed Sheeran? He has millions upon millions of followers. How is he trapped?
Because he doesn't own access to those followers. If the algorithm changes or the platform goes down or the company pivots to video when he wants to do audio, he loses his direct line to his audience.
Ah, okay.
So the sources show he is actively shifting to owned media. He's pushing his mailing list and using WhatsApp for direct updates.
And Grace Beverly?
Focusing entirely on newsletters. It's a retreat from the public square.
To the private living room.
Precisely, because, as the article notes, if you rely on the feed to talk to your people, you are essentially squatting on someone else's property.
You are building equity in a house you can be evicted from tomorrow.
And Af argues that these platforms aren't just precarious, they are filling up with this digital sludge.
Okay, let's define that properly.
Yeah.
When we say sludge, are we just talking about bad content? Or is it something more systemic?
Oh, it's systemic. The critique here is sharp. Digital sludge is described as the output of the income-to-shortcut crowd.
The get-rich-quick schemes of the AI age.
Exactly. It's people using AI not to create something new, but to flood the zone with low-quality content, deepfakes, and automated noise just to game the algorithm. It's content designed for machines, not people.
And F1 points out a fascinating economic paradox here.
The billionaire paradox.
Oh, this was a light bulb moment for me, because usually we assume automation just makes billionaires richer.
Short term, yes. But let's play it out. We are using AI to automate everything, right? We are minting AI billionaires who own these incredibly efficient systems that don't need human workers.
Okay.
But Af asks, if you automate the jobs of the people who buy the products, who is left to be the customer?
Right. If no one has a job because the AI took it, the billionaire just owns a very efficient, empty factory.
Exactly. It creates a loop of worthlessness. And that's why digital sludge isn't just annoying, it's economic erosion.
And there's another source we looked at, waste as a critique.
Right. Which argues that this informational waste, all the ads, the trackers, the AI filler, is designed to create friction. It slows us down to extract value from us.
So the platform wants to waste your time, because that's how they make money. They want you scrolling through the sludge. But AF, the architect, wants to slow us down for a completely different reason. She wants us to slow down to create value.
And that leads us to haptic sovereignty.
This is the second pillar of her philosophy.
Haptic Commandment. Pen to code.
Efficiency is a trap if it leads to amnesia. That is a quote from the source material that I feel like I need tattooed on my forehead.
It is a powerful sentiment. Her argument is that while AI can transcribe or generate text at the speed of light, the act of writing, physically moving a pen across paper, is what creates memory. It anchors the strategy.
Is this just nostalgia, though? You know, things were better in the old days.
Right.
Because I type way faster than I write. Or is there actual science here?
No, there is hard science. We have a study from the European Medical Journal that backs this up completely.
Really?
The study is titled, Handwriting Boosts Brain Activity More Than Typing.
Okay. So what is happening in the brain when we write versus when we type?
Well, the researchers found that handwriting activates specific parts of the brain, the premotor and parietal cortices. These are areas responsible for movement and spatial sensing.
Okay.
When you type, you are just performing a repetitive motion. Pressing A feels exactly the same as pressing Z.
Right. It's just button pushing. It's mechanical.
Exactly. But handwriting involves these complex spatial and motor networks. You have to form the shape. You have to verify the output visually in real time. The study showed that students recall information significantly better when they write it by hand.
Because that friction is the encoding process.
That's it.
That makes sense. It's the difference between driving a car and being a passenger in an Uber. You remember the route when you drive because you had to make the turns.
That's a great analogy. So when Af talks about pen to code, she's talking about a cognitive preservation strategy. She's saying, use AI to scale the idea, sure.
But use your hand to forge the idea.
Otherwise, you're suffering from cognitive atrophy. You're letting the machine do the thinking, and your brain gets soft.
And in a world of sludge, that clarity is your only weapon.
Precisely.
Okay, so we have the mental defense, using handwriting to keep our brains sharp, but now we need to talk about the physical and legal defense. Because the sources take a turn here into something much darker.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the black opticon.
This is a critical concept. It was originally coined by the scholar Anita L. Allen and is heavily referenced by Af in her architectural blueprint.
And opticon comes from the idea of seeing.
Exactly. But the black opticon describes how surveillance and data collection systems don't just watch everyone equally. They disproportionately target and harm Black Americans.
And the source breaks this down into 3 specific types of harm, right? It's not just a vague sense of Big Brother's watching.
No, it's specific mechanisms, a 3-prong system. First, you have the panopticon.
The classic all-seeing eye.
Right, but specifically discriminatory over-surveillance.
Yeah.
The source highlights the Geophidia scandal.
I remember this vaguely. That was where the police used social media data to track protesters.
Yes. Police in Baltimore used Geophidia's software, which scraped data from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, to specifically track and arrest Black Lives Matter protesters after the death of Freddie Gray.
Well,
They weren't tracking everyone equally. They were weaponizing public data against a specific movement.
that is chilling. And it takes public data and turns it into a targeting system. And then there's the second prong.
The panopticon, which is discriminatory exclusion, being locked out.
We often call this digital redlining.
That's right. The sources mention how companies like AT&T have historically excluded impoverished, often minority neighborhoods from broadband service upgrades. But it's also algorithmic.
How so?
Facebook allowing advertisers to exclude ethnic affinities from seeing housing ads.
So you literally don't see the opportunity because the algorithm decided you shouldn't. You're banned from the view.
Exactly. And the third prong is the conopticon.
Predation.
Predation. The classic example here involves Dr. LaTanya Sweeney. She's a computer scientist who found that if you searched for her name, LaTanya Sweeney, on Google,
You got ads asking LaTanya Sweeney arrested.
Wait, did she have an arrest record?
no, none. But if you searched for Tanya Smith, a name perceived as white, you didn't get those arrest ads.
So the algorithm effectively profiled the name.
Correct. The algorithm had learned to associate Black-sounding names with criminal background checks because that generated clicks. It was selling bias.
And this brings us right back to Af, the architect.
Right.
She talks about the PTSD of the description.